Hmm.
Welcome to another episode of The Inquisitive Analyst. I'm your host, Marcus Udikang, and it's a show where we chat with business analysts and project managers about their challenges and triumphs, their ideas, and their contribution to their field. It's inspiring, it's upbeat, it's exciting, and of course, most of all, well, it's inquisitive. My guest today is a business analysis trainer and practitioner. She's also the author of CCBA and CBAP Certifications Study Guide, and she is the director of the company she runs called Business Analysis Excellent, or BAE. So please help me welcome to today's show, Esta Lessing. Welcome, Esta.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Marcus. It's very nice. Yeah.
You're very welcome. And thanks for joining us all the way from Melbourne, Australia.
My pleasure.
So you have quite an extensive background in business analysis, quite extensive indeed. And I guess I should start off by asking you, how did you start out in the business analysis field?
Sure. Look, this is a long time ago, and I will probably not share just how long exactly, but it started way back in Johannesburg when I was still living in South Africa. And my very first job was actually a desktop support analyst, where it was quite a technical role. I was working with the IT department, helping a trading floor with all their technical issues. And to be very honest, I didn't really enjoy that too much. It was too technical for me, and I didn't enjoy putting the computers together and all of that. So then, lucky for me, within 6 months, a role came up at Anderson that was referred to as a business analyst role. And in my youth and innocence, I didn't really know what that meant, but I thought, hey, that sounds like a good job. I'll have a go. So I applied for that role and was very lucky to get that role. So my first serious role was actually being a business analyst. And I worked for Anderson in Johannesburg for I think it was about 2 or 3 years as a business analyst, doing very much business analysis type work. It was small projects in the beginning, but then I got opportunities to work in the London office on some European projects, and the role really took off. The work was less structured than what it is today. Like I was the only business analyst in the company at the time before moving to London. When I came to London, there was obviously more business analysts, and the rest is history. So I had a wonderful time, and I consider myself very lucky to have been able to start my career a little bit by accident, falling into the role. But as time passed by, I realized that everything I studied also matched perfectly into the role, and it became more structured as time went on. So yeah, I suppose I'm one of those lucky people who got to be a business analyst from the start. I've met so many wonderful business analysts through the years, but a lot of them have come from different paths, which I always find very interesting, because I know people come from so many different walks of life into the role of business analysis, that, yeah, I always felt, wow, I didn't realize that was possible. But yeah, so that's how I started out, very much as a BA. And I did that for quite a long time.
So you say you worked for Anderson. I assume that's Anderson Consulting, which is now Accenture.
Yes, pretty much. Look, at the time it was Arthur Anderson and Anderson Consulting working kind of in a partnership in Johannesburg. And that then changed and became Anderson. And then Anderson Consulting broke away from Anderson. And then I wouldn't know whether you're old enough to remember, but there was the Enron scandal in London. And Anderson actually basically disintegrated at that stage, which also put me out of a job for a little while, but I was lucky to be able to stay in London and work on other BA projects after that. But yeah, so it's not quite Anderson Consulting, but it's definitely their partner company, I could say.
Okay, all right. So you got Business Analysis Excellent, BAE, Business Analysis Excellence, rather, BAE, the company that you run, and it hones in on sort of ensuring that students receive that holistic, real-world capability to enable them to be more successful, I guess, in the workplace. So how should one focus their business analysis career in the right direction is my first question. And in addition to that, what are some steps to create that profitable business analysis career?
Yeah, look, it's coming back to, that is a very good question. And because I suppose, alluded to the fact that we all come from such different backgrounds, every business analyst almost starts at a different spot. Somebody might have a very subject matter focused background, and somebody might be like me with a more fundamental business analysis background. But regardless, I think there's basically 2 or 3 things that you need to put in place for any business analyst career. And the first is to get your fundamentals right, especially if you do come from a subject matter expert background. We will always fall back to that naturally. And I think it's important to establish that foundation in business analysis in a more generic sense by learning techniques and tools and frameworks and getting experience in that. And then once you've got that baseline, then you can go out and say, okay, let's do some specialization. So a very important thing, I think, for any business analyst that wants to get their careers really growing rapidly would be to establish the foundation, but then also to make sure that they get some varied experience. So don't just do one type of industry if you can avoid it for a little while. I'm not saying you shouldn't specialize. You can absolutely specialize down the track, but it's good to set up a bit of a variety, perhaps do some private sector, a little bit of public sector, just to build up your own business analysis muscle, as it were. And that will also make you more marketable, especially in the beginning of your career. And then later on, as you get more experienced, you can go and specialize and perhaps say, hey, I really enjoy software development projects within an agile environment. And then absolutely go specialize in that. But, and then the last thing is, of course, industry certification. I do recommend people look at doing that, because the business analysis world is much more competitive than what it was perhaps 5 years ago. Everybody wants to be a business analyst, which is fantastic. There's so much variety in the profession, but that also means that competition is picking up. So it's a good idea also to set yourself up for success and get the industry certifications that's relevant for your country under your belt.
That's good. Yeah, I think you're right. There's a lot more competition for business analysis now than when I started, that's for sure. And I think it's much more structured now too. Like you said, there are those certifications which when I started didn't exist. And so they tend to build, like you said, those foundations, the foundation subtly at the beginning, which I never had. You know, I had to sort of pick up over time, and it took probably much longer to learn. Yeah. So yeah, that's good. So, oh, sorry, you were going to say? Go ahead. Oh, okay. So I was going to say that you say that business analysis is a team sport. So can you explain in more detail what you mean by that?
Yes, absolutely. So I come from it actually from 2 different angles, and that's why I so very much believe that it is a team sport. First of all, you know, business analysts, and I'm sure you've got the same experience of meeting people of such a that everybody basically has different traits that makes them special, and they've got different talents and different strengths. And within the business analysis scope, I mean, if you've ever seen, and you've probably definitely seen the BABOK guide, it's a huge document. And yes, that's true. And the 500 pages is basically describing a very diverse and a very wide spectrum of business analysis skills, or what business analysis is. And at the same time, that basically means that nobody, not even somebody like me with lots of experience, can call yourself an expert in the entire BABOK guide. And that's why I believe that business analysis, every person comes and basically contributes as a team member of a team by being good at something. Some people are strong in their soft skills and they love to go and do stakeholder building, and you need those BAs, but they may not love the low-level detail quite as much. Whereas other BAs are very good at the detail and they'll uncover every little issue that I will never be able to do, and you need them on the team as well. So from a personality perspective, that's the one angle that I think business analysis makes it really a team sport to be successful. But the other angle is, because I said the BABOK is such a wide profession, everybody in the project team, as a matter of fact, not just the BAs, but everybody will be doing some aspect of business analysis in their day jobs without maybe even realizing. And that's why I think business analysis is like a team sport. We all have to do a bit of business analysis to come to a successful outcome.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I was talking to a technical writer earlier today, and they said, well, I do a lot of business analysis work. And that's it. There's so many roles, like you say, that intermingle those BA skills, which allow them to be transferable if they choose to become business analysts, full-fledged business analysts later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's so true. And I think that's why it's also such an open profession for people coming from different walks of life, really, within mostly the corporate sector. But there's a lot of doors that you can use to open a career into business analysis. And that's perhaps a whole different question, is around the role of the business analyst, which we won't cover today. But business analysis is a wonderful profession, but there is so many different aspects to it that everybody can really have a finger in the pie as such, without necessarily being a business analyst.
And that's why it's cross-functional teams. Everything's cross-functional.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, where do you see the role of the business analyst in the Agile world? Is it more of a product owner?
Look, that's at the moment a big question. And I know that a lot of people are investigating that question, discussing it in the industry. And the more I look at it, the more I am kind of tending to want to really simplify this question. Business analysis, yes, look, there's a lot of overlap between the role of the product owner and business analysts within an Agile environment. There's a lot of overlap, and I think we've established that through practice and people experiencing that. And some companies may well call their business analysts product owners, or in some cases, the business analyst might be a proxy product owner. But essentially what I think we're looking at is a common set of analysis type skills that both a product owner and a business analyst kind of have. And there's an overlap there. And I think that's where we are starting to think, should the business analyst be the product owner? But I think it's more about understanding what is that common set of skills that is analysis driven, that both a business analyst and a product owner need to master to be successful within an Agile project. So whether semantically we're going to be calling business analysts product owners, I don't necessarily think that is exactly where we're going, just because there are differences still. I think it's more about, let's try and define what is that common set of skill sets and work with that. And then call yourself whatever you want on the team. It's important that we can have those capabilities to be able to be a successful team. That's how I try and just keep it simple. But it's an interesting debate.
Yeah, I think that's important. The capabilities, different titles say different things semantically, like you say, but really, when you get down to the bare bones, it really is, do you have those capabilities? Do you have those tools, those practices? And can you apply them, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's right. So you work with business analysts to achieve those professional certifications like the ECBA, the CCBA, the CBAP. What are the top tips that you can share with business analysts who want to prepare for those certification exams?
Okay, yeah, sure. So I would say that, you know, working with lots of BAs, sometimes we make this beast of the BABOK way bigger than it needs to be. And the exam becomes this really big challenge. And by all means, it's not an insignificant exam. The CBAP, the CCBA, and even the ECBA, if you're starting out, it's not that it's easy exams, but it's important, I think, for people to not get intimidated by the BABOK guide itself. At the end of the day, yes, look, it's 500 pages and it looks pretty mean. And it is, I've probably read it or worked with it for a long time now, so that's why I might say this. But the concepts in the BABOK guide, once you can get past the dry language, it's not complex. So it's just a matter of chunking it all down. So chunk down the BABOK guide, take it one chapter at a time, and refer back to your own practical experience to make it come to life. So that's the one, I suppose, tip I could give people. The other thing is visualize success. We all need a bit of fear to keep us going. So we do need that little bit of fire in the engine on the day and before the exam. But to really make sure that you'll be successful in the exam, I always encourage people to visualize yourself already in possession of that accreditation. So make yourself think about, close your eyes and visualize how you feel when people start to congratulate you with your achievement, to when you start visualizing yourself in that next job as a CBAP or a CCBA. That visualization is an extremely powerful technique to help us all through all kinds of things in life. But the exam certainly is a good one to apply it to.
Yeah, I think visualization is good. And when it comes to, just to echo what you talked about, teams, one way to study is in teams. And in the case of, could be a discussion group, could be a discussion forum, it could be a study group. Yes. And I especially if you're talking to people who have already taken the exam, they can give you some hints and tricks and tips, but also they can boost that confidence to tell you that, like you said, it can be done. Yes.
No, that's absolutely true. And you just, Marcus, you reminded me to actually mention that as this third point. I've last April, just as COVID hit, I thought, hey, what can I do to help people out? So I created this free BABOK study group. And I've now got an amazing group of people just participating, supporting each other, helping each other to get through it. And it's been awesome. I mean, I think we've got in our Facebook group 50 people that's now announced being CBAP certified since last April. And those are just the people who's let us know. So I'm very excited that that's happened. But I've also met so many great people that support each other. So yes, absolutely. Find that group that you can get some moral support from, some confidence building, and just to be able to discuss concepts and examples. It's very valuable.
Yeah, no, that's definitely quite pertinent.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that business analysts can do to manage their career progression more effectively in the workplace?
Okay, so, you know, maybe I'll tell you a story of a business analyst that really opened my eyes to how you can actively manage your career without being forceful about it and get amazing results. So a couple of years ago, I was managing a team of business analysts here in Melbourne. And I had one of the BAs, she was very smart, very clever person, but also very friendly. And she came to see me every morning at my desk for a 5-minute chat. And it was informal. It was, hey, how are you? What did you do last night kind of chat. But she always finished her conversation with me by telling me what she did the previous day and what challenges she might be facing on the current day. So I always knew what she was doing, and I always knew what potential challenges she might have. She never came to me with problems. She only said, hey, you know, this might come up, but I'll be able to deal with it, or I might come to you if I need something. And she did this literally, maybe not every day, make it 3 times a week. She would have this conversation with me. And it took me a long time to realize what was going on. But because I found myself promoting her, I found myself telling others, oh, yes, you know, so-and-so can do this for you, or so-and-so have been doing this. And indirectly, I started to promote her amongst my peers and the team. And I think what I realized then was that she made my job very easy. Because as a manager, I was so busy, I couldn't go and see what every single BA was doing on a daily basis. I couldn't know, I knew who they were, and I knew they were working extremely hard. And I knew who the really good ones were, absolutely. But I didn't necessarily understand what their day-to-day was like. So I didn't know about some of those things simply because of time. If they were a little bit more proactive in coming to me and saying, hey, Esther, how are you going? What are you doing? And telling me what they were doing that day, it would have helped me immensely. And it would have helped them, more importantly. I mean, as a person, I love promoting people that I think is doing a good job. I suppose I just like doing that. And if I had more ammunition, I would have been able to promote more of my team in that indirect way, in between, you know, the everyday conversations with everybody else. So I suppose my biggest tip for people is you don't have to be pushy, you don't have to be self-promoting, none of that. You can just build a relationship with some of the key people that has some influence over your career. Just in a friendly way, not in a subtle way, just help them out, because they would love to help you. Managers in general, they would love to help their team, and they would love to feel proud of their team. But if they don't know what you're doing, and if they don't know what's happening, they may not have the time to come and look for you and tap you on the shoulder. So as BAs, I also know that we tend to be a bit quieter. We tend to be a bit modest about our own skills. There are very few BAs that's very extroverted. So just keep that in mind. You are not going to be seen as a pushy person. You're certainly just going to help your manager to understand who you are and enable your manager to help you get to where you want to go. So that's my top tip for all those BAs out there that's working very hard and not necessarily getting the recognition they deserve.
I like how you put it, the ammunition. As you were saying that, I thought, you know what? I bet you that her ammunition really was to build trust with you.
Yeah.
And her ammunition was to have you as her sort of unofficial stakeholder in a sense.
Yeah.
And she was, you know, she was confiding in you, and you were open enough to give. But that's true. You have to stand up from the crowd, and that's one way to do it, is to get to know the people who are important and strike up a conversation with them, and show that you're interested and you're creative enough to want to move on and move up. And you did it. You explained it quite well. I think that's quite good. Yeah. So that brings me to the next one about, and all these things sort of come together under the Business Analysis Excellence Framework, or if you want, or what you teach at Business Analysis Excellence. So what are some of the services that BAE offers?
Look, BAE is all about education. So we offer business analysis training at every level for groups and for individuals. And we do it virtually, like we do Zoom training these days for groups. And we also do on-demand self-paced training. So if you just want to get on, earn your PD hours, get some good quality CBAP prep, then BAE is a good place to go. Or if you're perhaps a team manager and you've got some special requirements for your team, and you might be based in Canada, or you might be based anywhere in the world, because of the wonderful virtual world that we live in, BAE is a great place to come. And I actually personally do a lot of those trainings myself. So that's all about education and empowering people to elevate their careers, really.
Nice. Just out of curiosity, do you have a lot of Canadians who sign up for your
Yes.
courses? Oh, you do? Oh, there you go.
Absolutely. I do. And I've had actually a couple of companies from Canada with people all over Canada doing the CBAP program. So yes, no, it's been wonderful. And look, in the last 8 years that Business Analysis Excellence has been going, it's been wonderful to meet people from all around the world and get to know all the similarities, but also some of the differences. It's been a great journey. I love what I do. So.
You know, it kind of reminds me that it kind of came to my mind that business analysis is kind of like music. It's an international language. People can speak it anywhere you go.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's very, very much universal.
Now, you actually, I forgot too, you have a book or a couple of books out.
Yes, look, I've got one official book out. I've got a number of ebooks available, but I published last April the CCBA and CBAP's certification study guide. That's available on Amazon. Contains lots of examples to try and bring that BABOK beast to life for people. Also, it contains some quizzes and some tests that you can do. So yes, that was a big job to get that book done. But yes, it's out there now, and I'm happy to say that it's all complete.
Fantastic, great. Anyone in the audience wants to get in touch with you, how can they do so? Look,
I'm very available on LinkedIn. So it's probably the easiest way if you wanted to get in touch with me personally, just find me on LinkedIn. And it's always nice if you can write me a little note just to say who you are, so that I know where you're coming from. That's where they can find me. I'm also on Facebook. If you go look for the BABOK 3 study group, you can join in and come and join us there and have conversations. And then, of course, baexcellence.com. That's got all the contact details you need if you wanted to get in touch with me directly via email.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Esta. This has been a wonderful chat, and I think I've gleaned a lot from it, and I'm sure the audience has gleaned the same. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Marcus.
You're very welcome. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks. You too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.